To all my Pascal gamer friends, it is safe to upgrade now.
Computer games hardware. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to the video. I wanted to talk to you guys about Nvidia and AMD and what they're calling relative performance on their latest GPUs. So over the last week, we've got the new release of the RTX 4060, and the reviews are interesting, to say the very least. So there's been some strange marketing from Nvidia's. They set some weird embargo restrictions on the RTX 4060, where if you wanted to review the card early, you had to sort of subscribe to only reviewing it in Cyberpunk and with DLSS 3 and frame generation switched on. And not many of the reviewers took it up. So a couple of days later, or I believe the next day, when the reviews came out, they were not glowing. So it's an interesting time for the current generation of GPUs. And let's get stuck into it. Okay, so one of the issues that the 4060 has straight off the bat is the die size. So the die that they're using, which is the AD107 die, is a really small die, and it's not the same die that's being used in the 3060 Ti. It's a AD107, which is even smaller than the previous generation's 3050 die. So that's an idea of how small it is. Now, you're not getting a we know that generation to generation you can't compare architectures, but still, that's quite small. And one of the things that Nvidia was boasting for this generation was that everything was going to have increased cache, because the bus was so small. But with such a small die, there's a decrease to the cache that's able to be put on the silicone. So you've got a reduced die, you've got reduced cache, and then you've got a reduced memory bus. So already you're at a massive disadvantage. And instead of acknowledging that, what Nvidia has done is marketed multiplying your performance and lowering your power consumption, which is just baffling to me, because they're throwing out slides that are saying that, like, benchmarks in Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Microsoft Flight Simulator, The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, Portal with RTX, it's got a massive increase, and it's got 2.4 times performance with DLSS and RT turned on. Then they've left a note in the benchmark saying performance parentheses relative, and it says 1920 over 1080 resolution, highest game settings, DLSS super resolution, quality mode, frame generation on RTX 40 series. They used a 12900K with 32 gigs of RAM, blah blah blah. The 3060 12 gigabyte model. Okay, so there you go. It doesn't make sense, because they're not selling the same thing. They're not the same product with different memory. You would expect a little bit better performance end over end from the previous generation, but you're not getting that much. So what's the incentive to go out and buy a 4060 when you can buy a 3060 and get similar performance? The 3060 it does not lag far behind. If you're willing to lower a few settings, you can still use DLSS. And that's the thing everyone conveniently forgets, is that you can turn on DLSS on a 3060. You can turn on FSR2 on the 600 series class cards for AMD. Nvidia went out with a benchmark about how the 4060 uses less power. So they're saying for 10 to 20 hours of gaming a week, for the RTX 3060, it's a 170 kilowatt card. All right, so you're using 1.7 kilowatt hours to 3.4 kilowatt hours. Okay, so the RTX 4060 is 110 kilowatts, so it uses 1.1 to 2.2 kilowatt hours, right? And then it's got over 4 years, that's 124 kilowatt hours to 249 kilowatts. So the 4-year cost savings in Germany ranges from $66 to $130. Similarly in the UK, $64 to $129, and in the United States, get ready, it's $28.70 to $57.41. Now, with inflation and everything like that, it's fair to say that I'm not dissing any power savings. Any cutting costs for people who need a break from all these things is a good thing. But it's not what you're looking for in a 60 series GPU. The 8 GB model, the buffer is so small that there's not many games that will be able to keep up. When you can get the previous generation's model with more VRAM and probably play more relative newer games for longer than the current model. Reasonable gamers are just going to drop their settings, flick on DLSS, and enjoy their games. For most games, if you're getting it at 4K or 1440p, 60 to 100 frames a second, which you can easily do, most gamers will be happy. So I don't see any reason that anyone would rush out to buy a 4060 when they could get a used or at a really good price, or even a new 3060 Ti for round about the same price or cheaper, and just enjoy the same games at the at the same frame rate. So AMD aren't off the hook for this either. A couple of weeks ago, Igor from the Igor's Lab YouTube channel posted some simulated benchmarks that he undertook to talking about the performance of the yet to be released AMD 7800 XT with a modded Radeon Pro W7800, which had been modded or limited to simulate the specs of the 7800 XT. And surprise, surprise, what he found was that the card performed similarly to its predecessor, the 6800 XT, the card that I've got in this rig here. So the issues with that card are similar to the RTX 4060. That card is a Navi 32 GPU, where its predecessor was a Navi 21 GPU. So they've used a cut down big Navi for this card, and in the 7800 XT, they've used Navi 32. So we know that because Navi 31 has MCDs on either side of the GPU. So the chip is a multi-chip module which has the GPU in the middle, and then it's got the MCDs on either side. Big Navi 31 has 6 MCDs on either side of the GPU. Navi 32 has 4 MCDs on either side of the GPU, and Navi 33 is a monolithic die, so we can easily identify them. And AMD showed off the die in some B-roll for some promotional material, so people picked up on it pretty quickly, and seemingly ASRock confirmed when they were getting their specs registered with some European Commission that they were going to line up. So we already know that we're not getting the like-for-like performance from the card. So that's again, it's just another example of how you're not getting what you think you're getting when you're quote unquote upgrading to the newer generation's performance. And again, take this all with a grain of salt. It's not like they had a card to test and performance might be better. You're getting better clock frequencies and all that sort of stuff. So I'm certain that in the 7800 XT, it's going to perform probably a little bit better than some simulated results on a modded Radeon Pro card. However, if it's going to be similar performance to the 6800 XT, a 3-year-old card, the question becomes, how much is it going to cost? Is it going to be more? 6800 XTs are still available. You can get some good deals on the secondhand market, and with some undervolting and some overclocking, you can get pretty good performance on these cards. Now, this is the middle class card. This was the second highest offering from AMD in the previous generation, and they should have kept that the case so they didn't run into this problem. They thought that the 7900 XTX was going to perform way better than it actually did. They thought they were going to compete with the 4090. It didn't. So you've got two cards named the 7900 XTX and the XT, which the 7900 XT performs more closely to what the 6800 XT should perform with a generational improvement. And again, we've just devolved into this race to the bottom, where now what they're trying to do is release a 7900 XT that is performing and is trying to compete with the RTX 4070. So if they just kept the naming scheme and they just let Nvidia have a win at the high end, which we all knew that was going to happen anyway. It was well documented well before those cards are even released, and now they've got to scramble to produce something to compete in the mid-range. This card performs quite decently. I can get good clock speeds on this card with relatively good power consumption, with some undervolting. So it's not like the new cards are offering anything that you can't already do with your with the older generations of cards. And again, with adjusting some slight settings, there hasn't been a new game that I can't play at 4K 60, 4K 100. And I don't anticipate anything coming out that's going to really make me think it's time to upgrade. All right, so you can see here, I've got the clock speed up to 2470 megahertz. Something happened with the VRM clock speeds when I took the screenshot, but I set that's the thing with these adrenaline drivers. They've been pretty good recently, but there's always something with them. So let me know if you'd like me to review the adrenaline driver versions if we ever get a new one. It's been over a month so far, so I'm looking forward to the next release and getting some game optimizations. I hope we're not in a situation where we didn't receive one for 6 months previously, but let me know if you'd like me to do that in the comments down below. But I guess the question is, right, if for the 7900 XT, if it's going to perform similarly to the 6800 XT, how much is this thing going to cost? The RTX 4060 can cost up to $700 here in Australia. $700. So that's crazy. I mean, you can get them for like $579 and things like that if I look up PC case gear, but you're looking at like the high 500s up to $700 for like the gaming OC versions and things like that. It's just ridiculous. So you're not getting what you paid for. You're paying expensive prices. You're getting cut down everything, die, cache, and memory bus. So what's the sell here? Less power consumption, relative performance. not good enough. Anyway, that's going to do it for this one, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. I've enjoyed making it for you. This has been really fun, getting used to the camera, setting up the lights, learning how to use the editing software. And I know there's only a couple of you out there, but your support really means a lot to me. So please like, share, and subscribe if you like this content. I'll keep making them and putting them out into the ether, and hopefully we can crawl together a little community. So look out for more videos, and thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one. See ya.